This conference will now be recorded.
Please call roll.
Here.
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 Here. Item 4 on the agenda is consent agenda, which is approval of minutes from February 23rd and a statement of bills paid, $1,091,570.17.
Mayor, if there are no questions or comments, I'd make a motion to accept the consent agenda items 4A and B.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Shriver, a second from Councilman Mullen. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes.
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 Item 5 on the agenda, requests or comments from the public. Then you'll start with your name and address, please. You'll have 3 minutes, and when you're getting close to time, I'll give you a signal up here to wind it down.
All righty. Dave Johnson, 1205 South 102nd Terrace, Edwardsville, Kansas. So on the agenda here for you all, I'm seeing the talking about roads, and I just want to throw in my noted concerns for 102nd Street that talked to most of you all about. It's way overdue. So I have a compliment for the fellow that's been doing the trimming of the easements. He has just been doing an absolute awesome job. I stopped and actually talked to him, and you know, most of the times those guys will go down and just kind of brush along the side of the road, but this guy has been in depth and doing a great job. I just want to say that. So, and then property appraisals. Insanity. The UG, state of Kansas, 3% cap, I hope it gets passed because $39,000 increase for 1 year, $120,000 for the last 3 years of my property. And the thing is, it's meaningless to me. I bought this house in 1994 and I'm not selling it. I'm never going to realize that kind of money they're saying my house is worth. I'm going to be getting the Edwardsville ambulance is going to be rolling me out of my house. That's how it's going to be. I'm never going to sell my house. But the mail comes. Next year, the mail comes. So I hope the state, which the 3%, I don't know if that's state, county, city, I don't know what it all means, but I hope it passes. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. No other comments? We will move on to item number 6. City Council to consider approval of Resolution 2026-03, resolution authorizing the City of Edwardsville, Kansas to construct certain main trafficway improvements and the issuance of general obligation bonds of the City of Edwardsville to pay the cost thereof.
Mayor, thank you. Mayor, Council will introduce in order here Clayton Kelly, our financial advisor. Has been advising us a path forward to receiving these funds, so I'll leave it to him to explain.
Thank you, Mark, and Mayor and council members. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. As you've noticed on your agenda, there are 3 action items authorizing resolutions for this evening. Essentially, they're all tied together. I will address really the third one as part of this, and then I believe Bridget is available here to give a little bit more information on the other 2 after I'm done kind of sharing from the financial side. But really, it's in terms of that third action item coming up in relation to the bond sale resolution. If we go back to the 2023 general obligation temporary notes, that's really a piece of this financing plan. So just a reminder, we issued $5 million of general obligation temporary notes back in 2023. we set those up to where they had a bullet maturity in June 1 of 2027. So what that essentially means is it gave the city the flexibility to provide the funding before securing permanent financing. As those projects are completed that were funded in the 2023 temporary note, we essentially can redeem a portion of that temporary note for permanent financing. So a reminder on the projects that were funded: 98th Street Phase 1 through that 2023 temp note, Kansas Avenue, Richland Avenue, and 106th Street Main Traffic Way. So 98th Street Phase 1 is complete, as well as Kansas Avenue. So because both of those projects are complete, we have final cost, we're able to now roll that portion of the temporary note into permanent financing. So that's really one piece of what's being authorized tonight through the sale resolution. And that's over a 20-year financing. In addition to that, there are street projects included in these first two resolutions that will allow for financing to occur. In total, we are expecting about $1,970,000 for the temp note redemption being financed, and then $1,820,000 for the street projects in total. So a combined financing amount of $3,790,000. So essentially what the third resolution, authorizing resolution this evening does is it allows the city to move forward with securing financing for that bond, for the permanent financing of those projects. So essentially the process for that, after this meeting, Mark and Doug will work with us to secure the credit rating for the financing on all the legwork that goes into that. And then we'll essentially come back at your April 13th meeting with the bids that were received, the final interest rates for those financings, and the final debt service schedule. So all of that essentially allows for funding for those projects to occur by May 7th. So, and just interest rate wise, we have seen a little bit of volatility just with everything going on internationally the last couple of weeks or so, but overall perspective, the interest rate, you're probably looking around a 4% interest rate in today's environment on a 20-year GO bond. So still really good time to be securing financing for these projects. Hopefully that stabilizes and continues as we lock in rates on April 13th. But yeah, this just kind of kickstarts that process. So happy to take any questions that you have.
Is 98th Street Phase 1 accepted by the city so far? Is it ours now? I thought there was some kind of holdup on it.
Yeah, there's a slight holdup in that some of the kind of driveways, some of this was not quite right. There was some right-of-way seating, sod, those kinds of things. But the project is finished and closed out. So essentially, there was some leftover. The engineering firm, the HC, needs to go correct a drainage problem, but they're doing that on their own at their own expense outside of the project.
Is it paid for, or is it getting paid for with this?
No, we've already paid for it. So when we bonded these, when we received the proceeds from this temp note, that was immediately paid. That was our share to KDOT.
So actually, Phase 1 is not even in what you're bringing tonight, right?
So no, so phase 1, and that's just regarding the financial plan from the 2023 temp note. So phase 1 was funded initially with that 2023 temp note. We're just essentially authorizing the permanent financing now that phase 1 project is complete for 98th Street.
We can relate it to the public that is our street now. Right? Yep. Other than some grass to grow on. Correct. Is this, Mark, is this coming off of these money that were $303,790,000? Is that coming through Pazer ratings on the way we chose the streets?
Yeah, the way this is structured is, first and foremost, we picked the most tangible roads in our 5-year capital improvement plan that we could complete within a 2-year period, 24 months. Okay, so there will be other roads, and we'll have another process just like this to finance those as well. But we're going to reach, if you look on there, Castle Rock, right, where people live every day. They go out and see it, and those need not quite as resurfacing. This is maybe slurry, things that improve the longevity of the road, some patching, that sort of thing. So look, I would say in street repair, it's a little more minor, but it will have visual impact, certainly. And now is the time to do it. It's least costly, that sort of thing. And then we have some restructuring that needs to be done, construction on the travel surface of 98 north, 98 south.
That's good. On the 98th Street from 32 Highway North, that's to Kansas Avenue. This is, I got this Friday, so that's, I've looked at it, but I got to ask the questions. Is that a grind down and overlay on 98 from 32 North, and then on the south, is it fixing shoulders and all of that?
Yes and no. I can't really speak. We need that. The PACER rating said it needs resurfacing. The travel surface was in terrible condition, and it kind of really needed improvement. It's also part of the market cost share allocation. But that's phase 3. A32, Metropolitan. That's phase 2. Phase 2 is already in. So north of Met Circle is already involved. We're moving right-of-ways, we're buying this, we're doing all these things. It's funded. And that will be a process where we have to come and bring forward some financing for the matching funds, a few $1 million for that particular project. Same as we did phase 1. So we're talking about phase 3, that just right north, Metropolitan Circle to K32, the travel service is awful. And I would suspect if we don't make the funding line like we did, again, you're 6 and 7 years out from probably a project that digs up that road and resurfaces. So PACER, PEC, our engineering firm, and their PACER recommendation was to improve the travel surface, the driving surface of that. So that could involve a number of things, and this financing allows us to patch it where we need to, replace it where we need to. That may be long stretches, short stretches, all those kinds of things. South is, we do have a driving surface problem, and we certainly have a shoulder problem. And I don't think we can address, that's a few $1 million because that's a very thick road, concrete, right? Because of the commercial, but what we need to do in repairing that is fairly expensive. And, it's unfortunate, that road didn't last near as long as it should have, but that will include shoulder upgrades, stabilization again, because we just did that in the maintenance project, 20, 25, 24. But that soft shoulder needs improved, strengthened, and then there's some sections of that road which need to be replaced. So this money will take care of that.
Good. That's all I can say is good. It's absolutely time for these repairs to happen. I appreciate the comment from the gallery out there. That's I know it's been a long time waiting for that. So with that, if nobody else got anything, I'd make a motion to approve resolution.
Why don't we have the bond council make a presentation?
Oh,
for us?
okay.
That was just the financial side.
Yeah,
so
he's
for the sale,
the math guy, the money.
Were there any other questions just for the sales side? Okay.
I'm just excited to have streets.
We all appreciate the enthusiasm.
Good evening. I'm Bridget Morris with Kutek Rock Bond Counsel, and I'm with co-bond counsel Emma Kate Dillon. So I think actually maybe this slide is not correct with the order of resolutions, but we'll get to it all. So we have 3 resolutions for you this evening. The first one, Resolution 2603, authorizes our main traffic way improvements. So essentially what we're doing with the first 2 resolutions is we are authorizing the projects that will be bonded in our last resolution. So 2603, these are our main traffic way improvements and the projects that will be included in the bond issuance. Resolution 2026-04, those are the projects that we authorized under the new charter ordinance that we approved a few months ago, and we had to wait for the process. So these are streets in certain subdivisions we went ahead under that charter ordinance to make authorized and bondable. And then our last resolution, 2026-05, actually authorizes the bonds. So first we have to do our projects, then we put those into bonds, and we roll that all together, and that's our last That's a very high level of what we're doing this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I think the questions were answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Is that three separate motions then for
Yeah,
three different
Address them.
resolutions? Make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-03. I'm not going to read it, but I need to.
I think it covers it.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Millat, a second from Councilman Shriver. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes.
Everhart. Yes. Millat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Item number 7, City Council to consider approval of resolution 2026-04, authorizing certain street improvements and the issuance of general obligation bonds of the city of Edwardsville to pay the cost thereof, all pursuant to Charter Ordinance number 2025-03 of the city.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-04.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Millat, a second from Councilman Mullen. Will the clerk please call roll? Mullen.
Yes.
Everhart. Yes. Millat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Item 8, City Council to consider approval of Resolution 2026-05, a resolution authorizing the public sales of approximately $3,790,000 of principal amount of the Series 2026 General Obligation Bonds.
Quick question on that. On that 4%, you said 4% interest. That's currently, right? Is that likely?
Yeah, so that's just an estimate based on current markets. Whenever we go out on April 13th, we'll get a finalized rate and we bring that back to you.
Okay, question that I want. What if the interest rates went sky high between now and then? What would our option be?
Yeah, so you always have flexibility to change the timing of the sale. It gets a little more complicated when you go through the competitive sale process where you're essentially posting a date of sale and having investors bid on that date. So essentially, if you reject a sale and do not take the bids that were received on the sale date, you run the risk of them essentially not bidding the second time around. So it's more of a relationship risk than anything else. But I would say in terms of delaying the sale, if we need to, if in the next 2 weeks we see rates skyrocket and it doesn't make sense anymore, then we can absolutely delay the sale date and push it back. It just delays funding for those street projects as well as the redemption of the existing temporary notes. So added interest cost on those.
It could be a risk one way or the other anyway. I guess you can't depend on what's going to happen. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-05.
Second.
A motion from Councilman Millat, a second from Councilman Mullen. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes.
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 Item number 9, how long?
How long would you like, sir? 20 minutes? Yeah, that's all. Useful.
So item 9, consider recessing into executive session pursuant to KSA 754319B2 for the purpose of discussing ongoing litigation which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. This would include governing body, city manager, city attorney, and litigation counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
To return at 6:40 p.m. And I just need a motion. So moved.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Shriver, a second from Councilman Mullen. Will the clerk please call roll? Mullen.
Yes.
Everhart. Yes. Millat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Make a motion to return to regular session?
We have a motion from Councilman Shriver, a second from Councilman Millat. Will the clerk please call roll? Mullen.
Yes.
Everhart. Yes. Millat.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. City manager report.
Yeah, what I have for you is I did communicate with you about a little bump in the road forgive the pun, 104th Street sidewalk with the contractor proceeding, regardless of their communication back to us, lacked permits. There was a number of pieces of evidence that suggested that they were not going to complete this job as they should have, in the manner in which they should, properly. And I don't believe that we would have liked the end product. And this is why they are bonded and insured and these kinds of things. So we're proceeding with notice to terminate. And then the surety bond then is responsible for assisting in the completion of that, somewhat at their expense in partnership with the city. And that's not the reason, of course, you do that, but that's the reason, of course, you have this as a contractor. And so the trench is very deep, right? There's some problems. We had a language barrier. They took out their own, the markings that they should have called for again. Right? They took that out, then hit a gas line. There was no supervision, as I listed in all those things. All these things I've listed to them as well. And it's impossible to cure things after they already happen. Does that make sense? Had we been on site, we would have said, what about this? What about that? None of that happened. Here's part of the confusion is there were so many different companies out there. Then we did give them a notice to proceed, but they never communicated back when that was going to happen if they had all their stuff together, because we would have controlled them. So then the next thing you know, you have an excavator, but there was stuff going on out there. So it was a little confusing about who was doing what. And then we find out, hit a gas line, right, that sort of thing. So it's been, it's unfortunate to delay it a little bit, but I think we will be better off by taking this course of action. I have looped in our city attorney, but we're on track to terminate and then figure out how to finish the job. That's the biggest news.
Mark, I did have a question on that. It might not be an appropriate question, but on the bidding, when we get 2 or 3 bids put in front of us, and 98% of the time we go for the low bid, is there, what kind of vetting goes on before those bids are actually presented to us? And, maybe one of us could have caught that.
That there is some public record search there at the bid opening. Usually the contractors are there. It's a sealed bid. And so our job is to give you the lowest and or best. There was no reason that they were not the best with the lowest bid. There was no disqualifiers presented in any of their material, any of their reputation known to us. And so we did give you the best, which happened to be the lowest bid. Now, these things happen is really, we have a contractor who's been subbed out in somewhat contrary to the rules and regulations within their contract. So that's part of the problem that we're having. And usually when things are done right at the front end, and Chantal, our permitting clerk, knows this stuff as well, that we catch these things before they happen. However, this was kind of it was just a kind of commingling of a number of things in which the company may not have procedurally done things right. So as far as what we did with this bid, we gave you what we thought was the best, which happened to be the lowest bid, and this is the particular company.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers by any means whatsoever, but in my experiences, the lowest isn't always the best. A lot of times you have to kind of argue for the next bid up or something. Maybe we didn't do our diligence. Maybe I didn't do my diligence on trying to research that company a little bit before. But the more eyes that look at it, I think are better. Not pointing fingers or blame or anything.
I think before we put it before you, we try to do our due diligence as much as possible.
Yeah, and I know that.
And we did not advocate for the previous construction company because of the cost. We had a great relationship and they did great work, and they were great to work with, no doubt. However, when you're talking 30, 60,000 of the city's money, it's our job to give you the best and lowest bid.
Well, that and then the lower, knocking the gas line out on a Friday night or whatever night it was. No, I mean, like I say, I'm not pointing fingers or blaming or anything. It hit me when I saw that, because we don't usually make those kind of mistakes with any contractors.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Council comments. Councilman Schreiber.
Will you make it a point to relay the compliments to our public works
Oh, yeah.
employee? I'm not quite sure. Maybe it might be a few of them or whoever it is. And on behalf of all of us in the public comments, that is Very nice to hear. Very nice to hear.
We have good equipment operators, not just people driving things around. So they're very
Right.
good at what they do. I'm proud of them.
Well, and that feedback is tremendous
It's
to
good,
hear,
yes,
so
we appreciate it.
thank you if you pass that on. Just want to take just a couple of minutes, if you could, on page 5 of 6 of the budget report of the bills. Under the general fund, the library line item.
5 of 6.
Am I not giving you the right?
Well, I'm trying to get to,
I think there's 2 different ones. It's on the group summary. Sorry, so it'd be toward the end. Might be the last page.
oh yeah, there's,
Sorry, the last page.
oh, it is. It skips from 1 of 2 to 5 of 6. You're absolutely right.
So on the library line item,
Mhm.
so that original budgeted amount, where does that go?
Well, the library was created as a department of the city in which will have expenditures this year. So it
Gotcha.
has to be budgeted, and that will go towards the library. That will be hired at the
Gotcha.
last quarter.
Gotcha.
So there won't be any expenditures out of this
Right.
particular one until after September.
Gotcha. I just wanted to recap it, and that's what I figured it was, but I just wanted a small refresher. That
Yep.
seemed like that was forever ago. Because that's September, October, maybe?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, perfect. That's all I have. Excited for the roads to get worked on.
Yes.
That's very exciting. That's all I have.
Councilman Mullet?
Hard to follow because but I can find something else. I do appreciate the compliments from the residents about the parks and the getting the streets fixed. I'm really happy about that. That definitely needs to be put in the hot shot so people can know what to expect coming up. You answered my question that I was going to ask you on the vetting process. That's all. Thank you.
Councilman Everhart? No comment. Councilman Mullen?
No comment.
Edwardsville Mobile Pantry is coming up this Saturday, so we have signups through Wednesday. If you know anyone in need, it's a great opportunity to serve our community, groceries specifically. Was excited to see lots of people using our sidewalks that we put in recently, especially with the sunshine. People are out and about and using them, so it's always nice. And watching some videos, I was just wondering if it would be possible to get another microphone for the microphone stand here. It would just pick up that.
We
Audio.
actually have to use this one over here. If you add one more, it'll be just nothing but feedback.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the assessment some months ago when we said, hey, can we do more? We can't add any more microphones for the room this size. So I think we'll just make a habit of putting 2 on the table after the comments.
okay. Yeah, that'll be fine.
So we need to hear Josh, is that right? He's the mic pass.
Oh, okay.
I don't need to be recorded, but Chantal says I do.
The last thing that I've noticed a lot of emails, news, things, discussion is the FIFA World Cup's coming up. A lot of cities are making preparations. We don't have a whole lot of tourism. We have a couple of restaurants that people can come to, but we also have some short-term rentals in the city, and that's VRBOs, Airbnbs, and that's a great opportunity to get transient guest tax to help. And so I thought it'd be a good time to kind of rework that. I know a couple of years ago, maybe it was our codes person went through and looked at the different websites to see the short-term rentals in Edwardsville. And so I'm going to make sure that our short-term rentals are going to put our best foot forward for our city, make sure that they're where they need to be, but then also that's a great opportunity when we're having hundreds of thousands of people come in the area to showcase those and say, hey, come stay in Edwardsville while you're in the state. So just wanted to maybe do a little bump on that and think about ways we might highlight those on our website or in the hot shot. Well, the hot shot probably won't be great for out of out of the area, people coming in, they won't get those emails, but a lot of them are looking at websites and social media and stuff.
And maybe it is in that, we're talking private businesses, that sort of thing. You just need to be careful. Maybe there's a link to maybe the Chamber of Commerce who might be able to help them. I'll speak with Josh and make sure we're doing on the up and up. And the only thing you need is a business license at this point.
Okay.
You need a business license so you pay your transient guest tax and you have a lawful licensed business in town.
Okay. And we might look at those too and just say, okay, is this, do we want one per parcel, or, making sure that we're having clean and hygienic places for people to stay. So.
There's pending legislation as well that would affect potentially the extent to which cities can regulate that. So I'll review that as well. But if there are any ideas that you have of wanting to make sure, I can look.
Yes, that's correct. Sounds great. We are out before 7. Have a great night.